Also, I just realized I make the weirdest noises when talking about books that have disappointed me, especially when comparing it to Hunting Prince Dracula. It's not as good. This one, I wish it never existed. They're all anticipated releases and they did not deliver. Hello Lovely Bookworms and welcome to a new video. I'm Esmay from Paradise Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and before I do anything else, I hope you've had an amazing Christmas. Christmas is over by the time you're watching this. It's also over by the time I'm filming this, but anyway. That also means that the end of the year is fastly approaching and it is time to do a couple of videos at the end of the year. One of them is the one I'm going to be doing today, which is the worst books of 2019. This is going to be worst and most disappointing. Just because a book is on this list doesn't necessarily mean that I hate it or think it is absolutely horrifying. I just think that it wasn't as good as I hoped it would be, especially when looking at earlier books in a series, because most of the ones that I found very disappointing were later books in series, sadly. And also some of my most anticipated releases. I think I'm going to start with the worst books of the year, and I'll start with the one I hated most. This was a DNF. This was also one that I absolutely hated. And this one, I wish it never existed. I know it's horrible to say because the writer put all her heart and soul into a book, but this, it's just not for me. I think I'm also too old for this kind of book. It's no longer for me, it's for people who are a lot younger than I am. I mean, I'm nearly 23, so I just think it's not for me. That said, the book I'm talking about is Fire and Heist by Sarah Beth Durst. This was a fairy loot book as well. It was a DNF. I think I got around 50% in, so quite far. My main problem with this is, one, it was very, very predictable, and the world building wasn't great. Something I hated, absolutely hated, was the main character. She was so annoying. She was such a whiny little brat with money issues, and I just I could not handle it. The way she treated other people, no. I also know that Femke really didn't like it. She did finish it. She forgot to put it on in her videos, but I asked her and she's like, well, I forgot, so you can tell them that I didn't like it either. That said, this guy, I'm surprised I still have a copy of this because I want to get rid of it ASAP, because this thing does not deserve to be on my shelves. The next book is not necessarily my worst book, but it is by far the most disappointing, and it's also a DNF. I have to say that I don't have the book here because I got rid of my copy. That's how bad it is, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I know that this is probably a very, very unpopular opinion, but I just could not get into it. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the whole society thing. I was hecking confused the first, 100 pages in, and then it got a little bit less confusing and I still didn't like it. And I just thought, I'm not going to waste my time on a book I am not enjoying at all. Next up is a book that was pretty disappointing for me. I did hear good things about it and I expected to like it. I did enjoy it, I have to say that, but I was still disappointed with the story and especially the romance in this book, and that is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I think this book is a little bit boring. I didn't really like the characters. The love interest was and in general, I just think that it was not the best book. I do have to say I really liked what they did with the Jabberwocky, but other than that, it was just very long. Next up is one that I think was also on Femke's list, and that is Rage by Cora Carmack. I was very excited for this book, and it is not nearly as good as Roar. That said, I did enjoy it. I have to say that I went through it pretty quickly. The characters were still okay. I also loved the new characters that were introduced, but the plot and the developments in this one wasn't really for me. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I loved Roar, which is sad because it was a very anticipated release for me. But I'm still gonna read the last book and I hope that one can be absolutely stunning. I think the final 3 books that are on this list are all anticipated releases, so I'm just gonna stop saying it. They're all anticipated releases and they did not deliver, so I'm gonna stop saying that. So the next book on this list is Capturing the Devil by Carrie Maniscalco. If you know me, you know I love the first and the second book in this series. The third book was a little bit less for me, but this, it was just so romancy, and the thing I loved most about the series was the murder and the mystery. and this legit turned into a romantic drama kind of thing. I did really like the final like chapters of this book, but I still enjoyed it, but especially when comparing it to Hunting Prince Dracula, it's not as good. Next up is also going to be a book that is going to be very, very surprising, because the first book in this duology was a big, big hit with me, and that is Val Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I really, really enjoyed Dance of Thieves, which is the first book in this duology, but this one, the characters felt very off. It was all very, very easily done. There was so much drama that wasn't really a fan of that, and in general I just don't think it was that good. I did still enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't necessarily what I was hoping it would be after reading the first book. Also, I just realized I make the weirdest noises when talking about books that have disappointed me, and that gets me to the very last book on this list. And this, I love the first and the second one. Second one I think is my favourite out of the three, and that is Finale by Stephanie Garber. I know that there's probably a lot of unpopular opinions on this list, this being one of them because everybody seemed to love it, but comparing it to Legendary, this one was just so easy. All the revelations, the way everything was resolved, everything fit way too nicely. Why would you introduce a story arc to just kill it off 2 chapters later? It's just so unnecessary for the plot, but it was very, very disappointing. And I'm very sad about that because I love the series. And I think those are all the books I wanted to talk about today. I know it is probably going to be a little bit of an unpopular opinion with some of these. If you've read any of them, please let me know what you thought. I in no way meant to hurt your feelings. This is just what I experienced when reading these books. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. My best books of 2019 is also still coming, so that's a little bit more positive. And with that, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press the little bell icon so you can post notifications every single time that we post. Give us a thumbs up. Also welcome Femke back. She's finally back, so I think you'll see her tomorrow again. And I will see you guys the next time. Bye!